And today I'm going to show you a card that I made with the Tulip Fields stamp set bundle, which is one of the new ones from the upcoming Stampin' Up! January to June 2022, I guess it is, even though I put the wrong date on my blog today, 2022 mini catalog. And it's one of the good ones. I mean, I really, really like it. It's a beautiful set of stamps and dies, and it's actually part of a bigger bundle, one of the kind of mega bundles, I guess is what you'd call it, where it's got 2 stamp sets and 2 die sets and designer series paper and ribbon and embellishments and the whole 9 yards that coordinate with it. And so it's a nice little bundle, and I'm excited to be able to use it and play with it today. So thanks to everybody for hopping on a little bit early. Hey, Danette, glad that you're here. So thanks for joining a little early. Like I said, I wasn't sure. I need to be done by 2:30 my time. So I wasn't sure if I'd be able to get everything done and not be racing at the end because I have to get my daughter off the school bus. So that's the main thing. So I figured I'd start a few minutes early. And hey, Lori, glad you're here as well. All right, so this is the card that we're going to be making today. And I was just, like I said, I played around with the stamp set a little bit and kind of figured out a few things, hopefully a few little helpful tips for you. It's actually pretty easy to use, so don't be afraid to get it. And it's, like I said, I love the effect of it. I love the kind of tulip fields effect, and maybe one day I'll actually get to go see those. I don't know. So anyway, so that's the card we're going to be making today. A couple things that I used on it. Obviously, the Tulip Fields stamp set. So this one is the stamp that starts the background of the fields, and then this little triangle is the one you stamp sort of in wedges around the card front. And then we got the windmill, got the little border of tulips, the trees, little shrubs, some clouds. So this is a fun little stamp set. Hey, Becky, thanks for joining. Glad you're here as well. And then it's got a coordinating set of dies that I love, the windmill dies. And this one cuts out this stamped image. This one cuts out the little shrubs. This one cuts out the tree. And there is a die. Whoops, these two are the dies for the clouds. And then there's actually this really cool windmill that you can assemble in the background. Or not in the background. You can assemble, I guess I should just say that. So if you want a non-stamped windmill, it's a little bit larger, and I'm sure I'll be playing with that at some point soon, but I didn't in this card. There are pieces you can put that together. There's a fun little bike image in it, and then these cute little fence sections as well. So it's a really good set of dies, and again, these are bundled together in the upcoming January to June Stampin' Up! Mini catalog, and they will be available to order beginning on January 4th. So, all right. Next thing that I used, is the flowering tulips, which this is the coordinating stamp set that is in the big mega bundle. And it does have dies that coordinate with it as well that cut out all these little tulips, and there are cool dies that actually cut out 3D tulips. I didn't use, again, any of those in this card, so... but I did use one of the sentiments. I used a thank you sentiment. And again, this is from the Flowering Tulips stamp set. And again, it will also be available in the upcoming January to June mini catalog, which starts on January 4th. Ordering starts on January 4th. So, all right, let me get that out of the way. A couple of other things I used, of course, my favorite die set ever, the stitched rectangle dies. I actually used the largest one of the rectangles to cut out the background piece on here. And then the sentiment I actually cut with one of the Picture This dies, and it's just this circle die from the Picture This dies. Now this is a cool set of dies because it actually is all one piece, so you can use it to cut out a background, so cut a whole piece of cardstock with it and then have little peek-through holes, or you can do like I'm doing and just take it and cut a section of the cardstock and then just have a nice little stitched edge on a sentiment or an image that you are wanting to stamp. So all right, so those are the dies that I used in addition to the windmill dies. Couple things before I get going today. My designer series paper shares, I just opened them up today for joining. So if you are interested, I would love to have you hop in and join my designer paper shares. Again, you can go to stampwithamyk.com and you will see all the details posted out there with the pricing and what you get and all that sort of thing. Designer paper shares are an awesome way to get a little bit of everything for designer papers from the upcoming catalog, only you don't have to pay for the full packs. So then once you get it, you can kind of decide which papers you love and want to get more of, and which ones that maybe you thought you'd love and don't necessarily use as much of. So if you are interested in joining my share, again, the details are posted on my blog today, which is stampwithamyk.com, and I'll be posting them all the way through and ordering them on January 4th, but you'll see them posted frequently on my blog between now and then. So let me know if you're interested in that. One other thing that's going on right now, Stampin' Up! Has got their Eden's Garden early release products that are available now for everyone to order. So again, the details are on my blog. And they've got a pretty stamp set and die bundle. The stamp set and die bundle will be in the upcoming January to June mini catalog. The pretty papers and the gems will not. So if you're interested in getting those, and you should be because they're beautiful, make sure you get those ordered before the January 3rd, and these items are available while supplies last, so they can sell out potentially before January 3rd. They also have a full big bundle that you can get as well with everything in it. All right. Two more things, then I promise we'll get Stampin'. So the last chance product sale going on right now from Stampin' Up! And that is all of the items that are retiring from the current July to December 2021 mini catalog. So those are the Christmas and the fall and the Halloween items that are in the catalog that are retiring. They're all available while supplies last through January 3rd. A handful of them are on sale, so don't miss out on getting any of those that you're interested in and haven't picked up yet. And then the final thing, and I'm getting ready to post this on my blog in just a little bit later today. I've got my online host clubs. I've got a couple of openings. So if you're interested in joining one of my clubs, let me know. So the details, again, are going to be posted on my blog today. And, you know, it's a fun little thing you can do. Join, get the host benefits. Anyway, let me know if you have questions on it. I'd be happy to chat with you more, but just wanted to let you know I've got a couple of openings in online host clubs. All right, now I promise we're actually going to get started on the card. So what I found easiest to do to begin with was actually stamp the kind of double triangled image from the Tulip Field stamp set. So I put this on one of the bigger blocks, and I'm going to stamp it in So Saffron ink right across a piece of basic white cardstock. Now this is kind of an oversized piece. I think it's about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2-ish. I don't know if it's exactly that measurement, but it's definitely oversized for what I will need it for the card front. Again, it's always easier to start out bigger and trim it down. It's awfully hard to add to it later if you don't cut it the right size to start with. So I've got So Saffron ink, and I'm going to take that image, which is the double triangles, and I'm going to try to put my cardstock here fairly straight on my grid paper and use that to help me to line everything up. Now I wanted it slid a little bit to the right, to my right, and I'm probably going to actually stand up and go over my camera here so I can see where I'm stamping, and I want it down lower than center. And so I'm going to try to use my grid lines to help me to get this lined up as straight as I can get it on the paper. And then we're just going to stamp it. All right, so that is the start line for the little tulip scene that we're going to be creating. Next color that we're going to use is Mango Melody, and we're going to start putting the little wedge pieces on here and building our little tulip fields right around that. So I've got Mango Melody ink, and we're just going to ink this up well, hopefully well. Now, this is the part where it got a little more interesting trying to line it up. I tried to come up with a way that it would turn out perfectly every time, and I could never get it to come out perfectly. I did it a couple times, seeing if there was some trick that I was missing, and I don't really think there is. I don't think you're ever going to get it perfect. If somebody figures out a way to make it be perfect, I'll be interested to see it, but I just sort of lined it up. I tried to make sure that the point was lined up in the point in here, so in the middle of this, and then just tried to line it up so that the clear edge here, which is a little bit wider than the actual stamped image, was lined up with the stamped image over here. Now, it didn't always work perfectly because, again, I'm human and my hands wiggle and, you know, things don't end up exactly where I want them to be. But that's okay. Like I said, I think this is one of those images that you can tell if you really study it closely that the lines are not exactly the same on it, but that's okay. I think it looks all right. So that one I obviously stamped a little closer than I had intended to, probably because I was talking, which happens sometimes. So then we're going to come over here and we are going to stamp that image right over here. And again, same thing. I'm going to try to line it up so that the point is in the center and try to line it up so there's a little white space between it, not like I did last time, stamping one on top of the other. And if you stamp them one on top of the other, it's okay. You'll just have a little wider space as it comes down here. All right, so we've got that. I'm going to use my chamois to clean off my stamp over here and try not to wiggle the screen as I do that. So because we're changing colors here, I don't want to have orange ink all over on my purple ink pad. So I'm going to try to get as much of that off there as I can and try not to end up with it all over my fingers too. Then I've got Highland Heather as my next color here. So again, we're going to take that and, I've got ink all over this block, which could be a disaster because I'd probably put my fingers in it. All right, so I've got Highland Heather ink. That's my next color that I'm going to be using to stamp the next sections of tulips in. All right, I think I've got that one good and inky. Going to do the same thing again here where I line it up and try to get the point in the center, try to get it so there's some white space in between, and stamp it down. All right. Now again, my windmill bottom is going to cover up in here where everything comes together at. So if I don't get it stamped perfectly straight, like that one is not straight, we'll cover it with a windmill so I don't think anyone will notice it. Again, just going to take Highland Heather and do it a second time over here on the other side and stamp it, maybe. I probably should stand up here so that's a little easier for me to see. Hopefully you can still hear me when I'm standing over the top of my camera as opposed to standing next to it. All right, so we got a little white space there. And then the final color that I'm going to use is the Poppy Parade. And again, so I'm going to clean my stamp here in between. Hopefully y'all are enjoying your day. It's kind of a little cooler today, and we're supposed to be at 60 degrees or some crazy thing tomorrow here in New Jersey, which is a little weird. So, all right, Poppy Parade is the next color. And I'm going to stamp that one in the middle, and we're only doing that one once. So again, I'm just going to try to line it up so that it's fairly even with the white space around it and the point in the center. And there we go. So that's our tulip field that I have done. Now, obviously, this one I did a little bit better job of stamping with a little more white space even in between it. But I don't think this one looks terrible as it is. I actually kind of like the way it turned out. So just give it, get it, play with it, and have fun using it. That's the main thing. And pick out pretty color schemes and see what you can come up with. So, all right, so let me get that cleaned up and hopefully get my hands kind of cleaned up here too. All right, next thing I did was I took a little bit of Post-it note tape, which, yes, Post-it note tape, I'm finally using my new one. So thank you to everyone that pointed out to me that I was wrong and that it was gone. It is not. I'm going to try to take a little of the sticky off with my fingers, or you can go kind of against your pants too. It doesn't usually rip any of the cardstock off, but I don't want to take a chance and have it tear off a spot that I've just stamped. So I'm just going to line it up right here along the edge of that tulip line. And then we're going to take a little bit of Pool Party ink and we're going to brush it over the background with one of the blending brushes. And the Pool Party ink is a little lighter, so it is going to take quite a few tries of swirling the ink over it before you're going to really start to see the ink on the paper. So hopefully you'll be able to see it as the color starts getting a little bit darker on it. Hopefully you all are enjoying your Friday and getting everything ready for the holidays. I kind of feel like we're into the, downhill slide into the holidays. I think I've got most of the Christmas gifts purchased. Anything that needed to be shipped out to family, I have done. The cards are in the mail, so I was kind of excited about that. Feel like I'm getting there, not quite ready yet. Things aren't wrapped. The house is decorated, so the Christmas tree is up. My younger daughter really makes sure that we stay on schedule with getting that done right after Thanksgiving. She kind of has her set holidays, and as soon as Thanksgiving is done, we have to get right on putting up the Christmas tree. So we did that over the Thanksgiving weekend, and she loves to turn it on and sit right in front of it. So every evening I find the lights all turned on, and she's enjoying the tree, which is definitely fun to do and fun to see her enjoying that as well. So hopefully preparations are going well for everybody as well. All right, again, just adding Pool Party ink. I'm not going to go really, really dark on the background, but like I said, it does take, because it's a lighter ink, it does take a little bit of extra blending, a little bit of extra swirling to get the color to be, again, just a little bit of color on the background. It doesn't need to be super, super dark unless that's how you want it to be. A couple more swooshes across here, and I think we will call it good. We are going to do a little stamping on the trees and things across the background as well. So we'll add a little bit of color that way too. And a couple little clouds too. happy little clouds, I guess. I don't know. All right, one more swirl across, and then I think we're going to call it good. And we'll get working on the rest of the card. All right. Get this closed up. Next thing that I did, peel off my Post-it note tape, obviously, so that is out of my way. And then I took my dies and actually die cut the panel. So again, I wanted it so that it was slid a little bit over to the left, if that makes sense. So I didn't want the point of everything to be right in the center of the card. You can do that, but I just preferred to have it a little bit over to the right. So I'm going to cut it so that it's as far over to the left as I can make it be without having it, you know, accidentally not cut correctly along the side. So hey, Bree, thanks for hopping in. All right, so I'm going to take this over to my die cutting machine here, which is right next to me, and run it through. And hopefully not make too much racket or bang it into the table. Okay, so there we go. We got that die cut. I'm going to get these dies out of the way and my scraps of paper. Just throwing stuff everywhere. And in a minute, I won't be able to find a thing because it's going to be a mess in here. So I have got a card base that I have cut from Evening Evergreen cardstock. This one is cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2, but this will definitely work no matter whether you prefer the book fold card or the top fold card like I do. You can use it on either one. So whatever your preferred card base is, go ahead and use that one. And just using a couple of my half Stampin' dimensionals to adhere this to the card front. All right. Let me see if I can get it centered and fairly straight. That's what I'm hoping for. And it always looks straight until I press it down and I'm like, but I think I got it reasonably straight on there. All right, now we're going to do a little bit of stamping for, I did do two of the little clouds ahead of time just because, again, it's the same process. I didn't figure you needed to see me stamp every single little piece of this. So I'm going to stamp the larger cloud here from the Tulip Field stamp set in Pool Party ink on a piece of basic white cardstock. And I'm also going to stamp the sentiment, which is from the Flowering Tulip stamp set. And I'm going to stamp that in Evening Evergreen ink on the same basic white cardstock panel. Hey, Karen, glad you're here. And sorry I started a few minutes early today. I was afraid I was not going to get done with this card in time to get my daughter off the bus. So I figured I should probably get going a little bit early. So, all right, so stamping these two on a piece of basic white cardstock. Let me get that ink pad closed up before I put my fingers in it. And a couple more things to stamp here. I did use a couple pieces of cardstock. Oh, you know what? I forgot to stamp my little trees on there. We'll have to do that in a second. All right, Pizzazz ink for the tree image that we're going to die cut. You know, I may end up having to cut that off the, I guess I should slide that up so you can see it. So we've got that stamped in Pizzazz. And then we're going to stamp the windmill in soft suede ink. Again, just stamping it on basic white cardstock. And we'll just stamp it. There we go. All right, and then we're going to do a little bit of coloring with some Stampin' Blends on the windmill. I have got Crumb Cake, light and dark Stampin' Blends, and I'm also going to use my color lifter. So I'm going to start by adding Crumb Cake, the light, sort of all along the edge of the stamped image here. I'm going to color in the door as well. And if you are leaving comments while I'm coloring, I will apologize up front. I have a hard time coloring and watching comments at the same time. So if you're leaving comments, I'll try to take a peek when I get done coloring. All right, then I'm going to come in here and I'm just putting light Crumb Cake down the little blades. I think they're blades of the windmill. All right, I'm going to come back in and, oh, you thought you were late? No, I just started a few minutes early. So, hey, Amanda, glad you're here as well. Then I've got dark Crumb Cake and I'm going to come in here along the very edge, add a little bit of the dark Crumb Cake. And then come back in with the light, and we're going to try to blend those together just a little bit. And again, you can switch back and forth like I am between the brush tip and the the bullet tip on the markers. It's up to you which one you prefer to color with. It kind of depends on what I'm doing and a little bit on which end I happen to open up when I'm doing my coloring. All right, so there we go, just adding a little bit, trying to blend the two a little bit together. And then I'm actually going to take my color lifter and I'm going to kind of blend everything together and lighten it right down the middle. So to give it sort of, hopefully the effect of, you know, the sun shining on the windmill. That was the look I was going for. And so just lightened it up just a little bit and hopefully it gave it a little more depth in the color. So that is all for coloring of the windmill. I'm going to grab my windmill dies, and I've got the tree die here and my little windmill die, and we're going to cut that. And then I've also got the cloud die. We'll be cutting this one as well. And then for my sentiment, I actually used one of the this opening in the picture this. I was going to color and painted this, and I knew that wasn't right. So the picture this label, or picture this dies, I'm actually going to take that and cut the sentiment out. So I'm going to be off screen for just a second. So hey Cheryl, glad you're here, and I'm glad that you're liking what you're seeing so far. It's a fun little set and pretty easy to use, and so glad you're here as well, Julie. So thanks for joining and hopping in from Ohio. So all right, so I'm going to do a little die cutting off screen here. So feel free to chatter amongst yourselves. I'll try not to be gone too long. I know that it's not fun to watch a blank screen, but I also try not to have it be all wiggly while I'm die cutting, because I know that's sort of distracting, and don't want anybody to get seasick while I'm die cutting and wiggling the table like crazy. So, all right, let me see if I can get a couple of these cut at the same time. Sometimes I'm successful in that, and sometimes not so much. That's what we have extra paper for. That's my theory. All right. So I've got the sentiment and the cloud that I'm running through right now. On my wiggly little table. All right, get that die out of the way. Like I said, I'm going to have a huge mess of things everywhere here in a second. Where did I throw? Oh, the clouds. I'm busy throwing those away. And then I'm going to run through my windmill and my tree quickly. And I should be done hopefully in just a second if I can get the tree to cooperate. The tree die, of course, is not wanting to stay where I want it to stay. There we go. Hopefully. There we are. All right. And then I think I am going to end up cutting the card front off and showing you how I fix it when I goof stuff up and don't do it straight. Because I realized I forgot to stamp the little shrubs on the background on the tree, or behind the tree. So I know that that's not going to work very well because it's on dimensionals. All right, so we got all our die cutting, all the little pieces done here. Let me show you how I fix my goofs when I put things on that aren't straight, particularly with Stampin' Dimensionals. I just take my paper snips, slide it right in between. Whoop, that one I didn't actually even take off the backing. So, and snip them off, and then just roll up the Stampin' Dimensionals. And hopefully don't make you seasick when I do that. But they roll right off. This one I actually didn't even take the backing off, so goodness. All right. And I'm mostly just trying to get it a little bit flat on this one so that I can stamp it without ending up with a huge mess. Which I may end up with a huge mess anyway, but who knows. All right, so I put the windmill, basically I knew generally where that was going to be landing on here, so I placed that first. And then I took the little shrub image from the Tulip Field stamp set and Pear Pizzazz ink, inked it up, and then I stamped one of these over to the right. There we go. And then I put my windmill back and inked it up a second time and sort of figured out where I wanted it to be, sort of, so that it was kind of under the windmill, but not completely under the windmill. And there we go, stamp the second one. So, all right. I knew I was forgetting something. All right, so let's go ahead and just assemble the rest of the card front here. So, hey, Britt, glad you're here as well. So, Cheryl's asking, how's the weather in Ohio? She used to live in the area, so hopefully the weather's good there. I don't know. Like I said, we are warming up a little bit today. It was freezing cold and kind of yucky outside and a little windy and, you know, not the fun stuff that you normally want Well, I mean, it's winter, so I guess I can't complain this past week, but we're supposed to really warm up this weekend again, which is going to be a little weird. Like almost shorts and t-shirts weather. 60 degrees to me is pretty warm anyway, after we've been in the 30s and 40s for the last little bit. So, all right, so let's go back to the card front here, and we will stick our windmill on. Maybe, if I can get the dimensional backing pulled off, so. All right. When Julie's set comes next week, you're going to have fun playing with it. Like I said, it took me a few tries to kind of figure out how to stamp the tulip fields, and I still didn't stamp it perfectly on this one, but that's okay. Like I said, I think it's one of those that it's just going to be, you know, it's going to turn out how it's going to turn out, and nature doesn't usually grow in perfectly straight lines either, so that's my theory on it. I can't stamp very straight, so, you know, it's all good. All right, so I'm going to take my tree, use a couple little glue dots, and I'm going to kind of tuck it here underneath the one blade of the windmill and stick it to my card front. Now we're going to put this on the card base, so I'm going to try to peel off the little dimensionals that I messed up on and had to chop in half. So they're out of the way. All right, then put some new Stampin' dimensionals on the back of it again. and we'll try it a second time, see if we can get it the right, you know, without forgetting anything this time. I pulled all the backings off, I think, this time, so I think we're good as well. All right, now hold your breath and see if I can get it put on here straight again and centered. Hopefully I can. All right, I think we'll call that good enough. Okay, now I've got my little clouds that I'm going to put here on the background. Again, these were all stamped from the Tulip Field stamp set and die cut with the coordinating dies. And I'm going to use a couple little glue dots to put those down as well. And I'm going to use two glue dots probably on this one, and then maybe one on each of the smaller ones. I'm going to tuck this in underneath my tulip blades here. Tulip blades, my windmill blades. Tulip blades, goodness. Talking is sometimes difficult. All right, there we go. Got that tucked underneath there, and then I'm going to put the other two little clouds on. So put one up to the left, and then the second one down and to the left. The one advantage of using the glue dots to adhere down things like this tree is that if I want to, I can tuck this, if I want it to be way down here, I can tuck it underneath like that. This one I think I'm going to maybe not put down quite as low as I did the other one, or maybe I stamped it up higher, either way. But I'm not going to go down quite as low on that one, but if you wanted to, that's the one nice thing about using glue dots on something like this is you can lift and tuck things underneath it. Same thing with your Stampin' dimensionals. As long as you're not way up at the end, you can tuck things like the little cloud right underneath there, and you're good to go. So, too hot for winter? Yeah, it is a little weird. I mean, we had snow the other day, so I thought maybe we were kind of done with the warmer weather, but it's heating right back up again. All right. Second to the last thing on the card front is I've got the Evening Evergreen. This is the window pane check ribbon, and it's 3/8 inch wide, and it's really pretty. And again, it's Evening Evergreen and white, and so I thought it would work well with the colors on the card front. So let me trim. This is a little shaggy looking, probably because I hacked it with my paper snips. And I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive. So I've got some Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put that here just in a little line on the card front. And then I'm going to wind the ribbon. I'm going to start here and make the little Z. So I think we'll start here. Let me make sure this is going to be wide enough, because I want it a little bit wider because I want to make sure it's peeking out around the sentiment. And then we're going to make a little loop, stick it down here to the Stampin' Seal, and then do the same thing, make the little Z, and my lid is sticking to me. And again, just want to put my sentiment over the top to make sure the ribbon is peeking out the way that I want it to, which it is. And then I'm going to trim this off. I usually try to wait until the end when I'm adhering a piece of ribbon like this to trim it off, just so that I make sure that I get it right. Again, I just threw the cap of the Stampin' Seal on the floor. So again, it's always easier to have the ribbon be a little bit longer and trim it off than it is to try to add to it. Again, trust me, because I've done it before. So, all right, my Stampin' dimensionals, I'm going to take them and stick one down here and one actually to the card front up here, just because I want to make sure that I have it actually stuck on the cardstock part of the card and not just on the ribbon, just because I want to make sure it's held securely. So I'm making sure that they're stuck to the card front and not just on the ribbon, which they're stuck to both. And then I'm going to take my sentiment and I'm going to place it right over the top of those two little Stampin' Dimensionals. And we're actually getting close to being done, and it's only 2:15, so it didn't go quite as long as I thought we were going to. All right, so I have the brushed brass butterflies, and these are really, really pretty. And again, they're from the upcoming January to June 2022 mini catalog. And they are in this same whole product suite with everything else. So you'll see them if you have your catalog. You can find everything all on the same page with this full suite of products. And I'm going to stick a few of those here around the card front. Whoop, that one I want to go just a little bit higher. There we go. All right, press those down, and that is all for the card front. On the inside of the card, I kept it pretty simple as well, and I'm just going to stamp my windmill image one more time and color that. Again, we're stamping it in soft suede ink. And I'm going to stamp it so it's kind of off to the side of the panel, so that there's plenty of room to write in there if you want to. And then I'm going to take the little shrub image and Pear Pizzazz ink, and we're going to stamp that next to the windmill. All right, so I think we'll stamp it right down there. Okay, and then I'm going to add a little bit of color to the windmill, and then we'll be all done with the card. So again, I'm going to color it the same way that I did on the card front. I've got my light Chrome Cake Stampin' Blends marker. Just going to use that to color in the majority of it. And this is another one of those images that doesn't really need to be colored extremely neatly, which is why I like it, because it's supposed to look a little more rustic, I think. So a little more vintagey look. And it's not drawn so that it's colored extremely, it's not drawn like really realistic looking, I guess is what I'll say. So you don't need to worry so much about making sure that everything is shaded exactly right. So again, I've got the light Chrome Cake. Sorry, hopefully that didn't freeze the screen. I think I'm still going. Sorry, I got a phone call in the middle of that. And all right, and I'm going to come in here with the dark Stampin' Blends Chrome Cake marker. And again, just put the color in along the edges, sort of where it shows me the shading at. And then I'm going to take my color lifter and actually come in. Actually, you know what? I'm going to need to add a little bit more. Blend in a little bit more. Sorry, I forgot that step. Blend in a little bit with the light Chrome Cake Stampin' Blends marker. Try to get it so that there's not too much of a harsh edge along the two. There we go. And now I'm going to take my color lifter and kind of swirl and color the two together here. All right. And that is going to be all. And we will be all done with the card. So let me adhere this to the inside. Glad y'all are liking it. It's a fun little stamp set, great bundle, and really, like I said, I love the whole suite of products. So I can't wait to play some more with it. And goodness, I have made a huge mess. There's just stuff everywhere, stuck all over everything. All right, going to adhere this to the inside of the card. There we go. Fold it in half and do a quick crease here. And we'll be all done. So thanks so much for, oh gosh, I even have dimensional backing stuck on my shirt and everything. So thanks so much for joining today. As you can see, each one of these is probably going to turn out just a little bit differently, unless you figure out some sort of a method for actually getting an exact line between them. But I didn't. I thought it looked, a little more natural with it that way. So this is my sample I did ahead of time. This is the one we did today here on, live video. So hopefully you like it. You definitely need to get it and get the whole suite while you're at it, because you're going to love it all. So again, all of these are going to be available starting on January 4th for customers to order. Demonstrators can pre-order them now. So if you're interested in joining as a demonstrator, drop me a note. I'd be happy to chat with you more about it. Don't forget, my Designer Series paper shares are open now for joining. So if you're interested in those, let me know. I'd be happy to talk, tell you more about those. My online host club is open. Got a couple openings in there. So let me know if you have any interest in that or have any questions about anything. All the details are going to be posted for this project on my blog tomorrow, and I will share a link to the specific blog post as soon as it goes live around 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time. So thanks again for joining. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will talk soon.